This video is sponsored by Skillshare. There is nothing that divides our nation and us as a people more than the annual Sanrio character ranking. It's been a tradition since 1986. Every year, the Sanrio company holds a large-scale contest, allowing fans to passionately vote for their absolute favorite character. A chance for more recognition, more pop-up cafes, and tons of merchandise. And what started as a Strawberry News magazine exclusive voting process in the 80s and 90s has turned into a bit of a worldwide phenomenon. For the past several years, I've voted for a certain character, and you know who that is. That's right. Cinnamoroll. I know, I'm part of the problem, but I love the little guy. I can't resist that little dumb face. I hope this doesn't make you look at me any differently, because this year I made a choice to vote for a particular little bunny, and her name is Usahana. I really come to love Usahana lately. Her color palette is so cute, her design just screams island vibes in summer, and she deserves more recognition. She's made it to my top 2. What? I can tell you this much. Every Sanrio fan, from the casual to the diehard, has a set of characters they love more than any other. This also means that many have a group of characters who they don't particularly care for. You know, an IDGAF list. And among the characters on my IDGAF list. Yeah, look, I never had anything against My Melody or Kuromi. They just never captured me in the way some of their peers did. They're cute, you know, their designs are fine, but I wasn't a fan. I just didn't care. And then I watched Onegai My Melody. Onegai My Melody is an anime series that aired from 2005 to 2009 and stars none other than the pink-hooded bunny herself, My Melody. Though by 2005, Sanrio had already released a plethora of OVAs, animated short films, and series featuring many of their established characters by that point, the brand's iconic and very popular character, Hello Kitty, was the one who often took center stage. But Onegai My Melody was different. It was the first time another flagship Sanrio character got an entire focused series of their own. Now, don't misunderstand. This wasn't some big risk the company was taking. Being Sanrio's third oldest character, created in 1975, My Melody was already popular in her own right, consistently ranking within the top 5 of the annual character ranking. But it's safe to say this anime only aided in her eventual rise to number 1 in 2010. Because Onegai My Melody is insanely too much to handle. The only reason I even decided to watch this show is because it's curiously listed as a magical girl anime in its genre description. Yes, I love cute anime, but the magical girl genre is my home. I had to know what was going on over there. Plus, I've already seen about 15 episodes of one of Sanrio's more recent magical girl projects, Miyuko Dreamy, so I wanted to see the company's history with the genre. And as I began watching Onegai My Melody, I began to notice I was changing. Suddenly, I found myself seeking out My Melody and Kuromi items in shops and clothing stores, where before I didn't give half a damn about My Melody's appearance or design. I suddenly found myself squealing at the monitor during her on-screen moments. What the hell did they put into this show? This isn't me. Who have I become? But I wasn't just interested in the superficial. I became curious about their histories. Did you know that My Melody, originally inspired by Little Red Riding Hood, has mostly been seen wearing a pink hood in media appearances since the late 90s, but red-hooded My Melody remains as a classic image of the character? Did you know that whether My Melody's ears are pointed up, are one up, one down, or both floppy, is merely a stylistic choice and has nothing to do with her mood or the popularity of each look? Did you know that Kuromi was introduced through and created specifically for this anime? Because I had no idea. My Melody's self-proclaimed rival and fellow hooded bunny was created for the sole purpose of being the antagonist in My Melody's new show. Now, of course, she's made a name for herself over the years, but I was not aware that her conception was just as this, little anime character. In fact, Kuromi's conception is so unique among its characters that there is currently currently an ongoing legal dispute between Sanrio and the studio who created Onegai My Melody, Studio Comet, about who actually owns the rights to this character. And not only that, but all these years, because of the aesthetic pink and black Pinterest pages, and the cute gothic-themed My Melody and Kuromi outfits, cakes, merchandise, everything, I thought these two were like cutie girlfriends, besties, a dynamic duo, partners in very legal crime. But no, that's not true, Ellen. Unlike what I'd been led to believe, Kuromi hates this girl. Now you have to understand, the beef runs deep here. Because My Melody and Kuromi are not rivals by nature. They were friends. And Kuromi's hatred for her former friend isn't fickle. It's unwavering. It's deep-seated. It's self-validated. Since they were young, Kuromi has been keeping a detailed notebook of every wrongdoing My Melody has done onto her. Thousands and thousands of pieces of cold, hard facts and evidence. I mean, who can forget Kuromi note number 5891 when Kuromi washed a pair of her favorite ripped jeans and My Melody, being the sinister bunny that she is, patched up the holes for her with cute hearts and smileys, thinking they were ruined. Oh, and you can't forget to mention Kuromi note number 729, when My Melody suggested a hiding spot so good to Kuromi during a game of hide-and-seek that the other kids simply did not ever end up finding her. And lest we forget Kuromi note number 1026, when My Melody gifted Kuromi an ice cream cone so big that she ended up suffering the most unsavory of fates. You see, for Kuromi, she has every right to bear this resentment for the bunny who she once wanted to be friends with forever. And this hatred is enough to justify using the sacred melody key to garner enough dark power to finally get back at her. Yep, Kuromi is an antagonist through and through. Every episode she's trying to make humans' dark wishes come true, which really just results in everything from a chaotic mess of a monster forming to the complete bending of the reality that they all know and love, all of which are not welcome. But every now and then, Kuromi will get it right, and the human whose dream she made come true will thank her for her work in granting their wish, and out will pop a black note for her to collect. Just 99 more and Kuromi can finally get back at My Melody for accidentally making her pour too much salt into her stew and other obscenities. But don't think that she's alone. Kuromi has her own camp of critters who are on her team and want to help her. Not because they hate My Melody, but because they care about Kuromi. Take Baku, for instance. Now, for a Sanrio character, I thought it was weird that I had never seen this man a day in my life. It wasn't until partway through Onegai My Melody that I realized these Sanrio hair clips that I bought several years ago that had a purple little guy paired up with Kuromi's set were actually him. The white part is his eyes. I thought that the black part was his eyes. But why is he paired with Kuromi? Baku has stuck by Kuromi's side through thick and thin, good and bad, even when he knows she's in the wrong. Baku doesn't always agree with Kuromi's behavior. In fact, there are multiple times throughout the series where he outright refuses to play a part in her games, and Kuromi doesn't take this well. She will smack Baku upside the head and down 40 feet into the ground for disagreeing with her. This behavior is so constant that it kind of makes Kuromi unlikable at times. But Baku knows the real Kuromi's heart, and he promised her that he'd always be there for her when she was the first person to ever comfort him when he was crying. Now, we can talk about the ethics of why their relationship was not a great one to display to an audience of children, and I think they've rectified this by removing Kuromi's more, abusive tendencies in future and current content featuring the two. But if you're planning on watching this, I guess just know that it's there. Baku is such a lovable character too. He looks after his whole family of his mom, his dad, his 12 little siblings. He wakes up at 4 a.m. to deliver the daily newspaper. He pays for Kuromi's cell phone bill with his earnings. By the second half of the show, I'm like, okay, what the hell? I'm confused. This is the show that introduced Kuromi and immediately placed her in the top 5 of the character ranking. This is the Kuromi that's so famous and well-loved today? Like, is it just me? Is it just me? But during my time between episodes, I found myself thinking thinking about Kuromi, her reputation, her appearance, her actual personality, and how none of these things align. And when I was stopped in my tracks by this little figurine at a local store, that's when it all started to click. Kuromi is a loser. She is not cool. She is not this gothic baddie with sick fashion sense and an intimidating aura like I originally thought. She is a cold, hard, nose-picking, bratty loser with a hopeless crush on a human and a tendency to misinterpret her friends' actions, and it's brilliant. Hiragi is the antagonistic human who Kuromi teams up with and subsequently falls in love with. And throughout Onegai My Melody, you'll often find Kuromi romanticizing about going on dates and frolicking in flower fields with this guy. But the reality that she always has to encounter is one where a human couldn't possibly fall in love with a stuffed animal. Crazy, right? But this is why episode 23, I Wish I Could Dance With Him, is one of my favorite Kuromi-focused episodes. The melody key doesn't typically work on the residents of Mariland, the world where all of these stuffed animal critters come from, but Baku notices a certain inscription on the key. If 8 candles are lit and the spell is set backwards, the user of the key can grant a wish onto themselves. And Kuromi wants nothing more than to share a dance with Hiragi at his upcoming fancy party. Kuromi's been practicing her butt off. She's ready for this. But she's only a 2-foot-tall stuffed animal. How could he possibly take her seriously? And so Kuromi uses her one wish to become human. Just for one night. Well, it has to be for one night because the spell will backfire if those 8 candles burn out. But share a dance with Hiragi, she does. She gets her time alone with him, wowing the dance floor. Time where he not only sees her as his equal, but he's just as interested in her as she is in him. He doesn't know it's Kuromi, by the way. Forgot to mention that. But this is the best night of Kuromi's life. And thanks to Baku literally burning his own hands to make sure the candle doesn't burn out, she gets to experience it to the fullest. Totally thankful for the people she has in her life. You guys, Kuromi is literally just a girl. She's crude, she says things without thinking, and she's not always the brightest bulb in the box, but she so desperately wants to be understood, taken seriously, and loved. I am so glad I got to see Kuromi in action, because what was once just a static, ordinary corporate character that I'd seen on merchandise and in stores is now my girly for real. I watched a few episodes of some more recent Sanrio media, like Hello Kitty and Friends Super Cute Adventures, and Kuromi's Pretty Journey, and while Kuromi's still not the aloof baddie that I'd assumed she was, her personality has definitely been toned down over the years. You know, less of a brat, more of a cool gal. So it makes sense why that was my previous impression of her, but dare I say, Onegai My Melody gave her character more depth for me. Kuromi's intensity isn't the only thing that has undergone some gradual change. The relationship between My Melody and Kuromi in recent Sanrio projects has become less of a heated, one-sided rivalry and more of a cute friendship between 2 girls. See, I knew I wasn't crazy. While it wasn't shown on screen, Kuromi is believed to have patched things up with My Melody between her last appearance on Onegai My Melody and the beginning of Hello Kitty and Friends Super Cute Adventures. But I've read the ancient texts. I know what Kuromi used to be and how this relationship used to function. Kuromi was the Squidward to My Melody SpongeBob, the Dr. Doofenshmirtz to her Perry, the Tom to her Jerry. Okay, maybe not that last one, because contrary to what Kuromi believes, My Melody has never tried to purposely trick her. My Melody doesn't have the capacity to do that to anyone. In fact, My Melody just might be the goodest girl to ever exist. Watching Onegai My Melody was overwhelming. Not because of the number of episodes or the content within them, but because of just how stinkin' cute My Melody is. In all my years, I have never been so deliberately bombarded by a character's cuteness level. The cute farming was absolutely off the charts, and it was nothing short of fantastic. My Melody is a very slow-moving gal. And the way she speaks, and the way she climbs up the stairs. Oh my god, I was going insane. It was so cute. And yes, she can be quite the slow thinker, but she always means well, and she's always looking out for everyone. It's also quite funny because in Onegai My Melody, you'll get characters like Kuromi and this human girl named Mana who can't stand her cuteness, so there is representation for even the people who don't vibe with My Mellow. And that just adds to the humor of this entire show, because I swear, sometimes it acts as a parody in and of itself. You see, My Melody, like Kuromi, comes from Mariland and is tasked, or really punished, with correcting Kuromi's bad behavior in the human world. The melody tact is bestowed upon My Melody, and with it, she must turn inanimate objects into temporary helpers to defeat monsters, collect 100 pink notes to combat Kuromi's black ones, and stop the earth from being taken over by the dark force. In other words, the magical girl in this series is My Melody. You absolutely love to see it. While she doesn't have a transformation, every episode she gives extra power to her magic by asking the inanimate object of the week with her hands clasped together, "Onegai?" Or please, hence the anime's name, Onegai My Melody. It's gold, it's hilarious, and like I said, sometimes it felt like a parody or an ode to the magical girl genre. In the middle of the show, Kuromi gets a power-up on her melody key, so her magic is stronger and My Melody's powers are no longer effective. And the Mariland royal members and staff start building up the fact that My Melody needs a power-up. We need to deliver this power-up to her. And me, coming from the school of Doreimani, Precure, and the like, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's about to get a new item. They're going to advertise a new wand, a new gadget. Oh, this is so exciting. And they finally reveal what the coveted power-up for My Melody is, and it's saying pretty please instead of just please. I mean, there was nothing else to say. They really got me good. And why is no one talking about the way Onegai My Melody subverts the expectations of the audience and challenges the norms of the genre and whatever else people like to say? Yeah, think about that. While this sounds like it was just a battle between the two bunnies, there were a lot of good, loving, and supportive people in My Melody's camp too. I can feel these ears flopping. Her family comes to visit her in the human world, and they're just the most adorable bunch in how they love each other. Flatkun, My Melody's male mouse friend, who helps her out tremendously. You could argue that he's often the brains of their operations. My Sweet Piano, another Sanrio staple character, and a little pink lamb who... Okay, can we just talk about My Sweet Piano for a second? She doesn't have the ability to speak in this show. Like, it just comes out as little sheep noises akin to that of a baby. And like, I was going insane. Because she makes friends with another human in the show, Miki, who's obsessed with poetry. And the common thread between them is their love for the medium. Putting words into sweet phrases, waxing poetic, one might say. And meanwhile, My Sweet Piano is just speaking the equivalent of baby talk, and it just would kill me every time. This show is so funny for no reason. And yes, as much as it's a show about My Melody and Kuromi, the human acquaintances do play a big role, as they're essentially stand-ins for the viewer. My Melody stays with the Yumeno family, consisting of Uta, her older sister Kanade, her younger sister Koto, and their father. And she does way more than stay with them. My Melody helps with the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry, the packing of lunch boxes, making coffee for their father. Like, wait. Why is she doing so much for this family? Little My Melody. If Hello Kitty is 5 apples tall, My Melody's got to be about 4, excluding the ears. No way do they have her doing all this laborious work. But she does the grocery shopping and all without as much as a complaint coming from her mouth. Oh, My Melody, you are just too good. Side note, but this kitchen setup that she uses is just very expertly advertised. I too would never stop cooking if my workspace looked like this. Isn't it amazing how she makes every one of her sweet treats in such a small plastic oven? In fact, I was so inspired that I decided to match her energy and make her favorite treat almond pound cake. Because you're not the only one who can bake around here, My Mellow. I sound like Kuromi. Baking is actually a huge hobby of My Melody's in the anime, and in episode 6, she makes cutely shaped almond pound cake cupcakes, especially for the Yumino family. They looked so cute, so I wanted to give them a try for myself, just to say I did. And it was thanks to Chef J.A. Cook's Simple Gohan's class on Skillshare that I was able to make the simplest almond pound cake batter with no stress. Skillshare is the largest online community made for creatives by creatives. From film, animation, business, illustration, you can find thousands of classes taught by industry experts to help you polish the skills of your craft. Lately, I've been really into baking, and though I'm quite the amateur, Skillshare's classes are really awesome in giving me the confidence to take simple recipes and make them my own. And don't worry if you're not into baking. I've dabbled in making little mascots for my channel, you know, similar to the simple yet standout designs of these beloved Sanrio characters, but character design is not easy, let me tell you. That's why classes like Cute Critters by Gia Graham are so great in teaching the fundamentals of designing your own adorable characters. So if you're looking to improve your trade and create new opportunities for yourself with your own talents this year, check out some of the classes on Skillshare. The first 500 people to use the link in my description will receive a 1-month free trial. Special thank you to Skillshare. Regardless of the lack of workers' comp, the relationship My Melody has with the Yumino family is actually really sweet. She's not just there for them physically. My Melody takes care of the girls emotionally too. I loved episode 34, I Wish I Could Be a Hero 3, when Kanade is having relationship troubles and My Melody, curious about what's bothering her, really just sits and listens to what she has to vent about, all while hyping her up in the process. Of course, the pure My Melody, who never has bad intentions in anything she does, would be the best person to tell your feelings to. And with their mother having passed away several years back, sometimes it's as if My Melody is there to provide a small bridge in the emotional support gap. The girl's dad is a great character too. He's obsessed with making puns. Every sentence he speaks is a pun. He's kind of a lame dad, but he just loves his daughters so much. What more could you want? He needs to stop letting My Melody do all the work, I'll tell you that much. But the most important relationship of all here is the one between Uta and My Melody. Uta's kind of the real main character of Onegai My Melody, what with her crush on Hiragi, the antagonistic high schooler, being one of the central conflicts because she has no idea he's in cahoots with Kuromi. But her friendship and partnership with My Melody is the magic that gives the Melody tact power. Without their strong bonds, there would be no magical girl My Melody. It's so sweet, especially how it's illustrated as being the rainbow thread that connects them. And while Uta is the technical lead of the story, everything always comes back to My Melody. She is the true star at the center of this galaxy. It's a show with her name featuring characters both old and newly made with her image in mind. You're not going to walk out of this show hoping to find an Uta or Hiragi plushie. Okay, for that last one, maybe some of you will. Never underestimate the power of a moody anime boy. You're going to want plushies of the adorable Sanrio critters. And with all of this in mind, it could have been a simple, commercialized show with little to no nuance. Instead, they made one of the cutest, more thoughtful, and hands down, funniest anime I've ever watched. You don't believe me? Let me tell you about one of my absolute favorite episodes in this show, number 36, I Wish the Earth Could Be Saved. First of all, the tone was already set before the episode had even started. In episode 35's preview, after a nice episode following Baku around town and learning about his history, you're greeted with the whiplash of the hedgehog narrator asking the audience, "Hey, sorry to spring this on you all so suddenly, but what would you do if the world were about to end?" I'm sorry, what? Where is this tonal shift coming from? Is that my sweet piano? So Kuromi becomes oh so curious about what kind of dreams her beloved Hiragi has. And in order to find out if he dreams of her at all, Baku uses a magic power that he's only able to emit once every 55 years, the ability to travel into one's sleeping dream. Well, here's a shocker, Hiragi's dreams are about as cold, dreary, and empty as he is. It's not until the characters find and open up several huge garbage bags worth of old, thrown out dreams of Hiragi's that the fun really begins. Basically, the mystical dreams spill over into the real world. The characters are suddenly huge and in space, playing golf and pool with the planets, eating Jupiter, tucking in the face on Mars. And all of it causes a group of meteors to head towards the Earth in a catastrophic event that these little Sanrio characters now must suit up to save the planet from. It is absolutely random. The humor is top-notch. There's an Armageddon slow-walking reference made. Like, it's just so clear that the people who made the show were having so much fun and not taking these characters too seriously. It's one of those shows that has the cute appeal of a kids show, but jokes that the older audience in the room will understand and laugh at. And with as much fun as I had watching it, I am in no way surprised now by the long-lasting popularity of both My Melody and Kuromi. My Melody is one of Sanrio's oldest characters, and though that doesn't guarantee longevity, as we can tell from Sanrio's very first character, Koro-chan, she's impressively been in the top 6 of results for a very consistent 30 years. Now let's go. Kuromi, having made her debut through Onegai My Melody, landed at the number 5 spot where she started to slip year after year until the launch of the 2021 campaign, Kuromify the World project. Yes, during the dark depths of the early pandemic years, Sanrio brought some much-needed light into the world with this very fun campaign. The main objective of which was to, and I quote, fill the world with Kuromi and Kuromis. By spreading Kuromi's message and connecting with Kuromi, we're sure to increase the number of Kuromis, all with the same goal of becoming the best version of themselves. And my, were they successful. Because with this push of new animations, artwork, merchandise, and even a song sung by Kuromi herself, she re-entered the top 5 and has not left the top 3 of results ever since. I'm not entirely sure why this project was launched, but it's really so cute that the overall message is just one of empowerment and being yourself. It may be a less aggressive version of the Kuromi who debuted on the scene 20 years ago, but with a fresh and revamped image, it's clear that Kuromi is here to stay. I do wonder if they'd be able to do the same thing with a character like My Melody, or if they even really need to, considering her staying power, but I'd love to see a new My Melody focused anime, because clearly I loved this one. Onegai My Melody got exactly what it wanted out of me. I am dealing with the most severe Sanrio brain rot I've ever experienced in my life. I've looked up histories, origin stories, exact dates of character releases, and most notably, it got me hooked on 2 characters who I previously could not have cared less about. Literally nothing will ever be the same. You know what? In fact, I'm championing these 2 divas in this year's annual character ranking. Especially My Melody's placement, she needs to get back in the top 3 where she belongs. So this year, vote for My Melody and Kuromi in the 40th annual Sanrio character ranking. What was that? Voting is over. Okay. Can't say I didn't try. Ironically, this video was in no way supposed to correlate with the Sanrio character ranking. I'd been planning to do this video since the end of 2024, but it just fell into place so perfectly I had to talk about it all in some way. Do you have a favorite Sanrio character? Please tell me who it is. I'd love to know. I'm still a cinema roll girly at heart, and Usahana's a recent favorite, but now Kuromi and My Melody are kind of battling for 3rd place. I don't know. I thought I liked My Melody more, but the more I see Kuromi and I think of her character and I see her merchandise, I'm just like, I love her. I love her so bad. Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to check them out below. But that is all I have for today. I thank you guys for being here, and until next time, I'll see you in my dreams. Bye, friend.